All right, blessings. So I am still in my transition space here as I'm have been for 3 years trying to realize and recognize what in the world is going on in my life that I've been totally shut down, chased through the streets. All kinds of things were happening. And what's so clear right now is it's like because this theme of a game coming on and then being reflected to me this morning on Facebook that my someone talking about the character being assassinated and that you never have to connect with anyone who has helped to assassinate your character. And she's one that works with abused women. And um, and so when this is just something else that someone and who has been assassinating my character, right? Who has been, and as I've been told, like, oh, it's just this game. It's the game that everyone's playing, Jaya, and you're in this game, and things have been happening for me. And now they're really happening for everyone. It's not me that's going to be projected on anymore and used as a target for them to project all of their darkness, all of their things they don't want to look at, everything that they think is wrong about themselves. And there's this thing called the work.com. And if you go to that work and just plug in Jaya's name, you don't even have to think of anyone or any a situation that you have, right? Just use me. Use me. Oh God. And so use me and the work.com, plug my name in there, and I am so disgusted or angry or um, disappointed, sad, and just everything that you have on me, plug it in thework.com and just do the work. All right, just start there because I am obviously not the only person in your life, but right now I seem to be such a massive target for people. And so one thing that came to me this morning is looking yesterday at the new vice president, I guess, is on a tweet. I haven't been on Twitter in forever. I haven't really even seen anything that's really been out there because I've been in such an internal place. And I think my entire account was hacked out, and then I've only been shown just very little things or strange things, and then every once in a while I get something coming in, but otherwise there's a lot that has been going on, and being used, being physically raped, and not having any memory of it, but my body had a memory of it, and so again, whatever people think that this is just a game, and it's just we're all playing this game, and it is true that it is just a body, right? So here's one thing, but you can't use that to justify. See, that's a yogic, high-level principle. It's the same thing as there's no special relationships, and to break up a couple that it's a special relationship is her and her partner assisting millions of people right now in awakening. If they're doing that, then I won't say anything else. But when I don't know, I saw that being too. I think I know exactly who these people are. And again, you know what you've done, and you'll have to pay for it in one way or another. There is a law of karma. And these kinds of laws, they're not going to be thrown out in these times just because they don't feel good to anyone. Like if man thinks that he's creator, and that means women who are, have been taught to think and see and act and do whatever, just like men, if they think that they're creator now, they have a huge issue. They have a huge problem. So the vice president, and this is where I saw it going with Clinton 4 years ago. The energy was not high, and there was some real stuff behind it as with her as far as war, as far as wanting war and going for war and a direction of war, and we're just going to blow everything up and everyone up, and then everyone else we're going to just inject with vaccines, and then everyone else we're just going to take away every right that they have in the land and just make this huge monoculture, and it's a hell. It's a living hell. So, as the see, business-wise, I can't even think in those terms, but as the leader of livingheaven.com, as the whatever the heck you want to call me, I've got my guru papers from India, whatever you want. Whatever you want to go at this route, you can't even begin to judge the levels that I'm working on and why I'm eating certain things and why I'm having to do certain things. You can't even comprehend it. And so thework.com. Seriously, whatever you are seeing in me, do that work. That's it. That's it. Go there, watch that website, and then whoever else you have in that space, go do that work. And then it's pretty simple. And then come back and watch the thing that I'm going to try to get up on my website. My accounts have been hacked now. My websites are all like going to gambling sites. So my luck has run out. Oh, and I have cold. I have a wonderful little gift that was, so this is what I was doing. If you can see that, this is what I was doing the morning yoga on. And I couldn't even get to it that much because of the energy that I have all over me right now. It's just, again, it's very hardcore. It's very intense. And when you have real, actual guru papers, and energy like that, it's different. It's so different than if it's a choice for you, or you're going to go out and do a job, or I'm going to be a yoga instructor, or my dream is to be this, or my dream is to be that. So my whole work is based on Dharma. It's all based on who are you really and why are you here, and that's beyond a personal choice. So again, there's a webinar coming that explains it really clearly, and it's not some kind of thing where you have to then go, oh my God, I've got a Dharma and I don't know. You'll know in yourself, not from an outside influence that's manipulating you and putting you into fear or trying to distract you or hypnotize you. And all these things have been put on me. And it's not okay. It is not okay. And whoever assassinated my character, and it's like, if this was a movie that someone started making of my life, and then they took me out of my life, again, that's not, I was told and had dreams that that a movie was a huge part of things. Right? It was a huge part of my actual Dharma that came from my dream time, that came from people like the Pandit giving me a reading, saying like, whoa, this is a huge life that you have to bring such beauty and like liberate millions of souls on the planet, and whoa, this is a huge deal. And so what has been happening though in my last 3 years is I've been shut out of my own life. People have been really honestly coming after me to take me out. Not just assassinate my character, but me. Assassinate the physical form would be gone and out of the world and not able to do anything. Right? And so, besides the cold, I just saw that a little while ago and I thought, okay, so someone's trying to say it's big cold, it's taking yoga out. I'm done with it. I'm just done. You know what? Whoever's doing what, they need to figure it out themselves, and they're responsible. I'm not responsible for I'm sitting here doing blind readings, giving tons of information to what? Who is it? Is it U.S. intelligence that I'm giving this to? Is it, right? Who's getting this information and then using it, and then using me to go like back in? While my whole singing and everything that I'm supposed to be doing in the arts, that's where I'm really supposed to be out right now, with another like high level soul, and the two of us are twin flame, and we're out there doing stuff. And now look, I mean, everything is like my face, I wake up, beat up and swollen and all the kinds of stuff, because I can't be in a high energy without him, or I get energetically raped, right? Not physically every day, thank goodness, and mentally attacked, to where I can only do half the stuff. And then when I finally get enough, then everything's swept off my computer, right? So my whole database, everything, the project that I was doing before that had the book files and everything was, and so there are things missing that I can't get back. And, right? So that, all of those things are happening. And every time I really start to get a sense, then the internet goes out for like a month, and then like, okay, so these things have been going on, and the one thing that I've really needed for about 5 months now is a harmonium. I really need to get into that energy and into that space and drop in and raise the energy up and be in that and that has been, again, it's just been a roundabout kind of like, when I had the money to do it, I had like saved up a little bit each time. And then the energy was coming at me so hard, then that money ended up going to buy alcohol to try to maintain any kind of sense of physical, like just not getting completely buried by the energy that was then coming. Jai Ma, Kali Ma, cow, you can hear that. So the cow chimes in, and the whole Mother Earth is speaking to me, and she's not happy, and the masters are not happy. Oh my goodness. There are many people that are seeing what's going on, and that a huge purpose and dharma in Manish and I have been totally sabotaged. He's been lied to about me. I was definitely lied to about him. I really think so. I don't think he's a con artist that slept with every single person that he has ever helped and trained. I don't think he's some shyster that's just out there and using women all over. And so those were the things that were being reflected to me, that he was just this person, and get away from him as far as you can. And inside, I'm like, whoa, something is not right on many levels. And I know my daughter's been lied to. I know she has been influenced in a huge way to go towards drugs and to go towards, and not street drugs, but they're just the darn same. If you're taking pharmaceuticals and you don't understand that that's not just the greatest thing to be doing in all kinds of ways, right? So the drug pushers have been on her. The lumps of coal, it's not what I'm getting in my stocking, honey. It's like, so things have to shift. They have to shift on this planet, and I'm not going to fix it. I'm not going to be in here all day long right now. One day I was on 11 hours straight. That's without a pause. 11 hours straight. I have a recording when I was in this part of things where I was really being taken into these things, and they just wanted to pull everything they could out of me, because they're like, whoa, there is so much information that she has. We're just going to pull it out of here. What a surprise. And it's like William at the end of the class, when the book reading class is like, well, who would have known, Jaya? All this is within you. My God, you're like this person that's supposed to be out and doing all these things in the world, and this book that you have is like, wow, it's like you're leading this whole feminine movement on the planet. Like, that's what came out of the session. He's like, wow, who would have known? And that's recorded. Who would have known? And it's like, yeah, I've been told this for many, many years. So, but you don't say that to everyone. Hey, I'm feminine leader. Because every time I've tried to get anything going, it's been shut down. So there's some dark forces. They don't want real feminine on the planet. They want controlled and manipulated females that they can say anything they want to, and they'll get them to just do whatever they want to do. That's not the real feminine. And this is the point that I wanted to get to, and then I have to get to, hopefully, because they'll get some of the Rumi meeting in. But the thing that I really wanted to get to was that you have a vice president on Twitter saying, it's really not kind and nice to harass the sex workers. It's like, that's their job. That's how they make their living. Don't be mean to them. Let them do their work. And this is where you feel like, I can't be living in this act. This can't be. Like, this is part of where my account's been hacked, right? And they're putting false information on there, right? Because you could not have a woman at that level of leadership endorsing rape. You cannot have, like forced prostitution, forced rape. Okay, if you understand, if you're in a deep enough survival, and then to go like, it's just a choice that someone's making, and they can make that choice for them. Do you think any fucking woman in this sound mind would choose, I'm going to have sex with strangers for money? Okay? Or for any other purpose. I'm going to do that out of a survival need and to get ahead. And my daughter if something happens to her and she's in that position, I swear to fucking God, you are gonna wish you were never born. You are gonna wish you were never born, because by me having that happen to me and whatever is happening in that game, if she would feel like she has to go do that now, or she's been talked into, well, the body is just something that you don't really need to worry about, and she would, you don't even want to know what is going to happen to you. And I'm not going to lift a finger. It's going to be, see, I had a dream that was Kali's reckoning. I was like, whoa, I have this dream, Kali's reckoning. And afterwards, I was paying my ex-husband back, you know, which wasn't a whole lot of money, but I was paying people back. In other words, I finally had enough money, and maybe it came from a massive lawsuit of like $1 trillion frickin' lawsuit at this point. And I was paying all the people back, and honest to goodness, it's not that much compared to, and the tax thing had been reversed because they found out it was extortion, and all kinds of things were happening. And that was Kali's reckoning. And Kali is the goddess that, you know, it's not, she's some evil thing on the planet that's getting out. She brings divine truth out. The heads that are, she has a necklace of heads around her neck. You know what they are? Those are the heads of the demons. Like they're signifying those that are in a demonic state, and they're doing these things like saying, hey, go out, don't harass the workers. That's their job. You let them go to their cars, and you let them, you know, get their things in. And hearing last night that there's something, and I guess it's especially in Los Angeles, that certain crimes aren't even going to be persecuted, that they have, anyway, someone's saying that whole thing. And I can see it going there. Because of what I experienced, it was already that way, but now to have it actually legally, and I've worked enough in the justice system as someone who would bail people out of jail, and it's already, if the police arrest someone for something and they find out that they were totally wrong afterwards, that person has no recourse. They can't come back and sue the police department for being wrong. So in other words, they get thrown in jail, they get a really high bail that they can't make, because maybe they don't make a lot. But they're out there and they're being outspoken in certain ways like this, like, hey, you know what, you shouldn't probably set women up to be prostitutes. What you should do as a leader is say, right now we have a task force, we're gonna get all those women off the street, we're gonna put them in this wonderful halfway house and help them to get off the street. That's what you do as a female leader, not say, well, that's their choice. You know, I'm sure any woman would want to do that, rather than have a man that really appreciates and loves them, or a family that really appreciates and cares about them and is like, you know, taking them in and you know, okay, that part not necessarily, because now I can see it's like I didn't want to be taken in by anyone, and I was taken in by a lot of things that people don't even know, man, you just don't even know the things I'm sure that I was taken in by, because I'm not out there doing the same kind of things. I'm not out there trying to make a buck and get money off people and do tricky things to try to do, you know, and I have a dharma where I have to be a spiritual teacher. It's not a choice. Who you are is not a choice, it's who you are. And if you have a high enough soul in these times, you don't have a choice on to like, well, let's see, I think I'll go work over here, I'll go do, like you do if you're being attacked, and then you're like, oh my gosh, how am I going to make anything, you know? But if you're being attacked, that's where there's free will, and people have used their free will and their time and their energy and even profiting off of it to hurt innocent people, and especially innocent people that could be assisting a lot of other people in these times. And instead, everyone's soul is just like dropping down into a place where they're just going to start lying and making things up and trying to save their, you know, selves and their, oh my God. Right? So when I wrote the book, Living Beyond Belief, and that's what was trying to be snuffed out in a huge way. That's one thing. That's only one agenda that's here. It's a few. I'm a guru not just of gods, but of demons too. So I get the full treatment from everyone, you know. It's like, wow, I'm so lucky. So But I want to get to that position where, okay, I guess we have covered it. Like, that's what you would do. You would not be endorsing these things. You would not be, giving people less and less recourse for honest people to come back and say, look, I didn't do anything and I need to be compensated. I lost my job. I lost my house. I lost my wife left me because they thought that these charges were true. Like, everything they lose, and they can't even come back on any account. And they don't have money to hire some big, huge lawyer. So their life is completely destroyed. So that's what I learned by doing bail and working in the justice system in the U.S. And so that book, Living Beyond Belief, it does talk about my ex-husband. And it does, and I have a song too, and it talks about him as this being at that time in his life, because he had gone through tremendous abuse. At that time, he was abusive to me. It happens, right? There's a cycle, right? My mom, there was abuse that happened. She used to cry all the time when she would get on the phone with me. Right? Is everyone going after her? Is like, are they propping her up as the ideal person that's lived and you know what I mean? And it's just like, I'm lying about everyone, and I'm like a psychopathic liar, and I have to make up stories about my childhood and make up stories about my mom. Or is she a woman? So that's okay, because she's just a woman, so she can do that. Maybe she can go be a prostitute and make money if she loses what she, right? And this is. You cannot do this to women on the planet anymore. You cannot set them up for lives of prostitution and say that they chose it. You cannot set them up for lives of prostitution and say that they chose it. All right? Well, it's a choice that she made. I didn't choose that. That was all of your energy. And after this planet, you're not going to where you think. Like, after this, and the planet's going to be here, okay? The people are going to be off of it, and they're not going to be welcomed back, or if they do, they're coming back as little ants. But I don't even see that ants have more consciousness than this. And so they're not going to be welcomed back, period. Right? Ants have more consciousness than this. Right? So they're not going to be welcomed back. And they're going to go to some place, and they're going to wish that they would have listened. I have a song called Don't You Listen. You might want to listen to that song. So, in fact, that one hadn't come in for so long. I was supposed to sing that one, but it got bumped, and it wasn't allowed to sing. And in fact, the whole segment of another one was completely wiped out. It might have been the same one, because Obama, was doing his speech, and it went over so long that it's like, my thing didn't even get out onto the air. It's like those things would be constantly happening, right? And for people to be judging and saying, there's an energy healer, and in fact a breatharian, a woman that no longer ate food anymore, but she would have like a little bit of coffee, right? Now, I know spiritual world, and it's like, for what that was doing, like, I'm like, just a curiosity, I wonder why it's coffee. But it's like, she's drinking coffee. I can't imagine. Yeah, she's not eating any food anymore. She's like evolved to such a space, and they have people on record, and they have done studies on people, and you can do that. Your body doesn't need physical form. A lot of things can change in a real spiritual world and reality. And in India, this is where it's known, a lot of things can happen. But to use something and to say, well, your body is just a physical form. And, don't think of it. You can do these things, and you can just completely, if someone, because my daughter used that phrase with me, one of the last times that we spoke, and she's like, well, the body is just a physical form, and it doesn't really, it's not everything. And if someone was like coaching her to where she would be having sex, you know what, I swear to God, again, it's Kali's reckoning, and it's going to come so hard on people. So hard. And the fact that it already happened to me too, someone might go to jail, right? Whoever's behind that. It's like, it's not just a movie, it's not just a fun time. That's what I always got beforehand. Like, this is not just a movie. And how are people being manipulated by huge forces of money? But see, they're trying to take the whole thing down. So here we have this, you know, someone else that could be assisting a lot of people. And maybe they made a choice that was like really hardcore, but maybe they had a reason that we don't even know. And if no one's going to talk to anyone, and this is the absolute bullshit that people are being pitted against each other, my daughter and I, right? Me and potentially a yogi, a few yogis, a few, because guess what? That's really strong, powerful, healing energy, and people won't need to do medications anymore. And if you have like trillions of dollars and, you know, in the pharmaceutical end of things, and you want to set people up against each other, and people are too stupid to figure it out. Like, everyone's been too stupid to figure it out, that they're just being pitted against each other. And where did the intelligence go? Where did you know where it went? It went into survival. And when you're in survival, and when you're scared and you don't know that you're scared, because trying to stay safe, you know what is the scripture says? If you try to save your little life, you'll lose it. But if you lose it for my sake, you will have life eternal. So if you're losing that little life that's trying to protect itself, or bring itself into a higher space, or, you know, if you're trying to protect your hiney right now, like with the book, my ex might be, or some group that's gotten with him or something and trying to make me out to something. Now he's got this massive group behind him that's trying to make me out to be like the demon thing, you know? And they're the high Bible people. And see, the beautiful thing is, I mean, the beautiful part of it is that when I came out of India, I don't know if I had protection, I had mantras, I had things that, when I went into the 3-day hold, that a woman off of a street came in, and Ariel's like, oh, Mom, look, this nice woman just came from a car, and like, did she even know something at that point? Like, who comes out of a car on the street and tells the police where to take a person that they're taking in on a psychiatric hold? Where does that happen? So I go to a place, and in that place, I am really harassed. And I am really, I mean, I wasn't allowed to see a doctor for the 3 days. Things went down it was bad. And that my daughter thought she was doing the right thing and putting me in a special place where I wouldn't be hurt. And where I was like drained, and I think they were just trying to totally drain me out and kill me and go, whoa. And also frame me for suicide, because that's another thing. I started to write, I'm like, whoa, they're going to write something else, and there's cameras, and I'm like, nope, just... The intuition, thank God, was so high, and I was protected by Divine Mother, and I did have that initiation. And I would never tell a woman to go be a prostitute and that's going to be okay for you. That's a good choice for you in this lifetime, you know? Because times are hard. You got to make money. So just go be raped. To not understand that that is rape. See, this is where I just don't understand. I just can't believe that a woman would, for any other woman, say that that's okay. And to have someone in a vice president role saying that don't harass them, that's their choice. They just have to make a hard choice in this life. And if my daughter was influenced in that space in that way, and you're calling me a dark force on this planet, people know who they are, and they know what they have done. You know what choices you have made. And you know that you might have been talked into them, and you might have been lied to. And you could say, well, those are the real ones that did, but still, to not say like this, I cannot do this. And this has been my whole life. of standing up to these forces and saying, I can't do this. Even if I'm going to make $1 million off of this album, I can't record it. You know why? Because it's like, it's too low of energy. I can't do it. I have bowed out of places. I have, gone out of conscious business places too. I haven't paid the full amount because I'm like, I'm going to have to sell my soul if I do this. This is manipulating people into buying something that they might not need, and I can't do it. I cannot use this energy in a way that would harm someone spiritually. And there's a lot of spiritual harm that's happening. I'm supposed to bringing people out into an awareness where they can be truly protected. And that's not just so like dark forces don't come in and they feel good, but that they're not making choices that are going to land them. That's also protection. Not making choices that are going to land them spiritually in a horrible place. After you leave here, this little life is like a nut, it's so short. So yes, it's true. My ex-husband was violent towards me. Okay? It's truth. I didn't put that in there because I'm just trying to attack him and assassinate his character. I put it in because it's in a context of an entire thing. And it's saying that there was a place inside of me at that time that was in that pattern, right? For a personal pattern. Now I'm in a whole collective thing, and I'm taking on everyone's energy. It's a huge collective pain body and pain field, and this is going to stop. The energy in different ways is going to start being pulled out of these things, and people that were kind of floating and feeling okay or having at least a halfway decent experience, it's going to start to drop. Because I can't carry it anymore. And I have discerned at this time, finally, a bit more of what's going on. A bit more, that it's not like lack of willpower on my side or anything else. That book was written 20 years ago. 20 years ago. And there have been days I worked 16 hours a day in karma yoga or in other ways, and with clients and all over the world. Do you think I might have grown a little bit since then? 20 years ago. That is a kindergarten book. I'm going to be putting that out, spiritual kindergarten book. Okay? It's in a higher level thing where people don't necessarily understand it, but it's kindergarten level. If you want to go through that kindergarten, and people have gone through it several, I'm looking forward to doing it because it has its basic principles and things. So it's not at a higher level when you've gone to completely different spaces, right? And you're able to, like the woman's no longer eating any food. She's existing on prana, and yet for some reason the coffee does something. And I had this thing called Kali coffee. It's like the Kali. There's a goddess. It's connected somehow. So maybe that's even what was happening for that person. And she was a female in doing that. She was breatharian. And then there was another woman that does the energy work, and she had a little bit of coffee like on the side, and I hadn't, coffee had fallen away a long time ago for me. So even in that moment, I'm like, whoa, why is she drinking coffee? That's so strange. I guess she's, not really sure, right? And now I understand, right? But I didn't go out and start like, she's doing these things, on my social media or whatever has been happening. It was inside, and I might have shared it with, someone going like, I don't understand this. I wonder why this is happening. But I didn't like go out and like in a, right? And so, and she's doing a high level energy where she's doing it in her space the way that, so now I understand it is more of a shamanic thing. It's a tantric thing. That is a different thing than the right-handed path, which I was in, which was in a lot of fasting, a lot of things at that time. That's what I was. And traditionally, you're in a right-handed path, very austere, very focused, very thousands of hours of work, a few $100,000 donated, which made the person cry. My tax person cried, right, when he saw that on my thing. And then later on, feels like he gets extorted me because he probably, in his mind, he probably had someone tell him too, there's no way that she gave that much away. She's got to have some other money. Like, yeah, you know what I'm going to get? I need $16,000 now. And at the time, and I don't have any other funds. I don't have anything else. And if people have put it in there, they've set me up, right? Someone paid back a little bit, and I went right, a small amount, and then I went that and put that to Jim yesterday. It's like, okay, because I want to get this stuff up. I want to get into alignment. So like a little tiny bit came back, and then it's like, wow, you're rich, and you do have an offshore account, and you have had. No, I don't. I gave all that money away, okay, in different ways, and not all of it away, because a lot of it was used with Ariel and the space and the position that we were in at that time. And then other things were for me to go to the places and do the trainings and be with the people and meet the things and be at the land that I needed to be in that particular time, in that particular way, to be in this matrix that's been around the world. And everyone has just taken over my life. They're doing it all wrong. It's all out of order. The devas and the energy beings of the inner earth are so messed up right now, and they're so angry. It's like queen of the natural world. That's what I woke up one morning with, that coming through. And I went on, I recorded it. I had to go back and listen to it, but I remember waking up, and then I remembered that I recorded something. And I went, whoa, that is so important. That was so important. I wonder what it says, and I'm trying to guess at what it says. And then when I listened to it, I'm like, I never would have guessed that. Did I really say that? How is that so important? What does that mean, right? So that came from that deep place of inner knowing, and it is very, there's just something that's so huge about that, and being in those places around the world. And here I am here, and the planet is where it is, and I can't even get out to do the things. And if Jim is going to say that he didn't do that to me, I don't think he would do that. But I think the people behind him would do that, or they would force him to do that. And that's not okay. Jesus is not, he's like, not in my name. Not in my name. So he did that. It was not for character defamation. When he came in, he was the only one that brought scriptures to me in that place that was a lower place that my daughter thought was being talked into and told that it was going to be a good place for me. And it was a hellish place for me. But I can't continue to say that because there's so much money involved. They're going to get back into a place like that. Right? And so at this point, it has to, I have not had the luxury of speaking out, or I was being threatened and told where I was going to be going. And I wouldn't be coming out again. That's for sure. So people are all being pitted against each other. It was a hellish experience. In India, it wasn't that. It was different. But for all I know at this point, I could have been getting raped every single night, and then enough time would have been going through where then I wouldn't have known. Videotapes could have been made. Anything and everything could have happened to my physical body at this point that I don't even know about, right? And maybe that's why Ariel was being shown this, and she's probably had to go, if she had to go into such a place of where she's completely probably had a psychic break or some kind of thing, because you can't see things that your mother like that and think like, well, that's okay, knowing her, that, right? So they're trying to completely destroy people, and then pretend that it's just, they're lying, they're pathological liars, you know, here, take our medication. Here, just go watch a movie. Never mind, forget about it all. It's all fine. They're just liars. No, go back into your... Do you know that your twin flame is available too? Here, come on. I mean, not two, because she doesn't have one. That was the whole... But we have our website that we're going to bring out and show you. And those teachers are going to bring people down in such ways they can't even imagine. Right? They are going to lose their souls teaching things that they do not know about. They've just heard it. I know that place. I know the place inside of me that's done it before, like in a way of like getting into it and then being like, okay, why does this feel like it's, you know? And then not being able to move forward. Every time when it was like that, and it was like, okay, wait a minute, this isn't the real, yeah, no. So I know that space, that's spiritual fantasy land, and the distinction between that and the real space. Okay? And people are going to be caught, taken into that spiritual fantasy land, and their souls are going to be lost. Okay? And so this is where Jim and I and anyone else in that space would be on the same team. Because you can see, like, whoa, that's not it. But it's also then where we're not on the same team, where it's okay to go and scare people and say, if you don't believe in this particular thing, in this particular way, you're going to go down. That's not true either. Right? But there are authentic spiritual paths. And then you have the issue that they're not necessarily created for the women, the place that the women are coming into now. So when I went through that Shaktipeeth temple puja, 3.5 hours long, and something I don't think anyone really intended for to happen, but this is how I've always initiated into places. So I've done things on this. I'm not going to sit and talk on this forever again, but I'm putting this one out because of everything that's coming to a head right now. And maybe it is the eclipse that we just went through, and it is this, in several days, it's the solstice, and there are timings on the planet where these things are coming out, and we do have just over a year where this event, that's what I'm still sensing, just over a year, and no one's going to be taking me into any more timelines or doing anything tricky with my body anymore, ever again. And if you do, you know Kali's reckoning is going to be on you so hard, and you're not going to be able to have an ounce of, well, they told me, and I just thought it was going to be okay, right? So anyone completely lied to, like my daughter was, and if she told me that was going to be a good space for me to be in, they lied. They lied. And if someone's going to force people into doing things like a paid prostitution and tell them that's okay for their soul, and they have to know that they've been set up to be raped, and that's not okay. And those people that are setting people up to be raped, and that would be an entire economic basis that's built on just completely having no regards for humanity and for those that they're serving. And even getting into it with the coach back, when someone asked a question, what if someone's like, they really can't afford it, it's going to put them into debt, it's going to like do horrible things, and they're already struggling, and you're going to have like a $25,000 coaching program, and they're like not even making ends meet, and the person's answer was, just don't think about it. Stuff like that, when you're sitting in that room and you're just like, you know what? And that's why I didn't pay the rest on that contract. And I had already paid, I think, $14,000 out of $18,000. And the person still didn't know what I did, not really understanding, so they really couldn't effectively coach me. And the way that I was being given some tools in marketing, it's like, that's manipulation. I can't do that to people. At the level I'm working on, there's no way I can use this. Right? So that's the kind of things that I've found out, that there are ways to do things. You can have a $25,000 contract, but not with someone who's starving in the street, and it has to be really aligned, and it has to be something that they're really into. Now, they have to follow the guidance and what you're telling them for it to work, but that's their responsibility on their end. But there are things aligned like that, and there are people in positions that will have so much transformation, and it will be so good for them that it'll be worth $1 million to them, right? And if they had it, they probably should circulate it, right? If they really get it, and people do. This is traditionally what the guru, that's how it works. That's when it really works, when that's how my life is supposed to be working right now. When people have such huge transformations and huge things, they recognize it in themselves, and they're like, my God. And then they devote their lives to a spiritual cause instead of, and to their soul. And then they leave their things as a trust. And then people build an ashram, and that's how that whole thing works. But when I have people on top of me totally assassinating my character, totally making me out to look like something I'm not, destroying me, heading me off at the path technologically every time I try to do a class and I advertise it and it's not really getting out to anyone. And this has been happening for years now. I really know that. And I couldn't figure out, no one could figure out, why are you not, my God, Jai, I've never met this level of stuff and I've had this huge change. How are people like not getting out when you're putting it out there? You're not one to like be in the corner over there. You're putting it out there, you're on stages, you're doing these things. How are people not hearing about it? Like people really couldn't figure it out. Right? And so and then my mind can go in and go like, well, maybe it's this or that, and trying to make excuses for those. This is one of my eclipse insights, you know, is that I make excuses. I was told from the inside, you know, it's like you don't just protect the innocent, you protect the guilty. Like, so that's one of the patterns that's going to be stopping. I can't do that anymore, and I'm looking back on the women in the circle, and like, you know, it's like, what really happened there? And it wasn't really okay. And there are contracts, and they do need to be honored in some way, right? In some way. I'm getting how strong it's like, because what I do is like, well, it doesn't really matter. I think it's going to be huge on them spiritually if they're not honored in some way, right? And again, I have to get to a point of clarity in me where I have to make sure it's not my end, trying to pull and trying to be great. Oh my God, it's so much not that. It is so much on the other scale and on the other end. And then what's happened to me, right? And in a space of, there's gratitude, because I know it's in a bigger picture, that something bigger here is happening, but to just be like, I'm being chased in the streets and radiated and attacked and taken out, you know, literally trying to be just harassed and psychologically, my God, in different ways though. And then energetically, like just, you know, where your body's literally shutting down. And that was not like, oh, it's all India's fault. It's all their fault. Oh, it's all their fault now. And everybody's like, no, it's all their fault. I can help them because I have all the answers. And it's like, do you have a guru chart? Are you in female form, first of all? Are you in female form, first of all? Do you have the chart of the guru? Have you gone to India and gotten your guru papers? Have you, like, by an official, like, you know, lineage scholar? Like, because that did it. I've had people say it in all different contexts and different readers, and ones that were very well known, they've all said it too. But it's like to have that, then it puts it in another context, because India is like the spiritual superpower on the planet. And yes, it has resources, and yes, it has other all intellectual, amazing genius, architecture. It's amazing. Really, I'm going to use that word, and I don't care. It is like above and beyond when you look at historically and the things that came out of this area of the world, and in India in particular in that reference point. And then you have the superpower in the West, that's the US. Manish and I were supposed to be the spiritual superpower with the, you know, of the world right now, the economic superpower, right? The like, it's the US #1 place that people, especially ones in it, but even it recognized around the world, right? It's like it has that, like, wow, it's the USA, it's the free world, it's like the power in the world. These two places, the twin flame, like this is what was supposed to happen, and everything was going towards it, and it completely got hijacked by so many different things. And to say that it's just all me and Manish and it's our fault, and then to have things made up about us, and to be kept apart for 3 years, where we literally were not able to have a conversation together for 3 years. And to now really get a sense that there was people behind that no one ever came to me and had a conversation. And any time I started a little bit of a conversation, it was like, I don't know what you're talking about, you know, or you need to get on some medications, or, you know, there's something. So what am I going to say? Right? And then the times that I did, like with the client that I had, with the person, that I was really sharing some things. And again, I don't know if all that is being used against me now. He knows, Okay, there's people that know some things that are going on, and if they are not coming out and really saying what's true at this point, and assisting at this point and getting my little podunk class, living beyond belief. It's like this little class. Like, I just want to get my little class out. If I could just do that before I go, maybe then, and like at least something will be left for humanity and this dharma that I have to get this out. And it's like, can I just do one thing, and I'm going to be all bloated and barely able to sit up in the chair and be like, and then you live beyond belief like this, and I'll be like going down, sinking, in the times of Kali Yuga, and then like everyone will take the class and start to get enlightened. At least from the other side, I can be like, oh, okay, we did it. And then like Manish will be taken out too. We'll be like, high five. Okay, let's go create that new universe together somewhere. Okay, so I don't know how it's gonna come out, but it needs to come out that this is not me. And even my face right now, like I'm not feeling it, it's like I'm still being. It's still happening, right? It's still happening, and if people feel like, oh, that's just fine, and then, it's not going to be fine when it's all of your family and it's all of your people. And again, that's not like, wow, she's really manipulating. I have to be true to the place inside of me, and I have no choice, and I never have had a choice. That's why I didn't take the big contract with the pop thing and the other thing, and then and I didn't take it even with someone's neck got broken on a bicycle ride. And again, I was told later that was protective forces that I have. And that person in the Akashic records, they mentioned that it was what did they say? Like Hanuman, like they mentioned the gods, the gods in the from India. That's who they said was protecting me from people who were coming in that didn't necessarily have a horrible intention. It just, the energy was not, it was going to be way too, it wouldn't be able to represent or protect in any way. It wouldn't be like Manish could. It wouldn't be able to, as a single person, that's not the way I can come out either. Right? So it wasn't it. And that's what that person reading the Akashic records, I'm trying to remember the specific god and goddess that they said would be, if it was Hanuman, but I think I would have remembered that. But that was their take on it. And not just their take, this was someone who, it was their whole entire life's work. It wasn't like they dabbled in it a little bit. They had a booth, they had an entire thing going on. And it was at a conference that I talked with them. And then they mentioned Palladium. They mentioned, high-level stuff. But again, the heart is one of the, and the Mother Earth, right? So it doesn't matter if it's Timbuktu. It doesn't matter if you've incarnated into a form. And if you grew up in the West and you're not given any information, I don't have something where I'm purposely, or I can just fly off planet and I go here and I do this and I'm just, that's not my experience. None of it. I have a completely and totally and utterly human experience, right? Well, and with an expanded awareness of love and beauty and these things, but I can't tell you how human it really is. And I purposely don't develop things. I don't do cities. I don't try to get powers to go do things like fly around and astral travel, and I purposely don't do that. And I know this life is to be just completely human, and then be able to assist people in expanding in their awareness and remembering their full spiritual nature as a human being in physical form, so we're not all trying to run off planet and escape. This is part of the thing. This is so long now, but I've had so much on top of me, and I'm really, like I used to. When I first used to talk, I used to get like warm sometimes, because I'd get, from talking and being, but that ended a long time ago. So now that it's just, and I'm seeing just the puffy, the face, and so some of it is the things that I've been eating, because I'm not eating my usual raw vegan of many years. This whole last year has not been that, right? And a little bit before. And then there would be periods where now that I know what it is, it's like now that I know what it is, it's the Baba, the eating, anyways, there's things for creation and things that I was doing to be in that space and maintain sanity. This has been on me since 2002, really. And then in 2004 is when it went to really another level. And then 2000 and, it just kept on going on to like the next level and the next level and the next level. Oh my goodness. It just kept on going to the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. And I have had no training in any kind of, because I notice people like purposely almost like try to reflect things to me through certain like things, and I just have no idea still what anything is, and I'm being touched on the nose right now. Okay, I never know if there's a bug, because that one felt like the Masters of the Himalayas. So, so spontaneous movements have started coming in, but they're never from my mental. Never once have I made a move from my mind trying to reflect something to someone. Never once, right? So this is spontaneously movements happen, and then I wonder, it's like, God, I don't want to be giving some signal to someone and then they think I'm giving a message out, and I don't know what's going on. So I'm still completely, I'm like operating totally blind here, and in another way totally seeing everything and a lot of things that other people can't see, how they've just been totally pitted against each other. And that me and Manish, I need to see him. I need to talk with him. This is a huge thing. And that he's been told lies about me, right? That I've definitely been, I really think, but I have to confirm that I've been told lies about him. I have to have a conversation with him. And this has been going on for like months and months and months. Where I say it, and then I'm just sent into another space or time where they figure out how to manipulate something else, and then I'll go into something. But now I'm gonna put it up. I'm gonna put this video out. So I guess it's different when I put something out. But everything has been happening in such a huge way, and I was still being threatened to such a degree. I was still being threatened on such a degree to where I have a responsibility to stay in physical form at this time. And I have to listen to my guidance and intuition. And there was still too many people, some people at a higher level galactically, and I think on the planet, that then it's like, okay, now there's something. Some people have come in where now it's, something has shifted. And maybe it was galactically. Maybe that's why I couldn't say anything, but something has shifted to now where there's enough money and enough protection and enough evidence, I think, has also been gathered so that I wouldn't be able to be set up, completely set up to be, I'm just going to be the scapegoat that everyone uses, And if I'm not the only one in this, I'm one of the major things, this targets thing that's been happening for so many years. So I think there's enough evidence gathered now, and there's enough people with enough resources outside of the coal and gas and oil and all of that, outside of that are pulling things together, that are going to overtake the dark forces on this planet, and they will not be able to operate as they have been. Right? There's enough people that have gotten together right now and that understand what's really happening, and that it is in consciousness also. So it's not a joke. It's not funny. It's not like if to really go to thework.com and find the worksheet there and plug in Jaya's name. And in fact, when I went back there months ago and looked at the site, I couldn't believe it. Like the example that Byron Katie had on that site for using the work, like all the examples. The name that she used was Jenny. And that's, my birth name was Jennifer before I went through a huge change, and it changed in the spiritual change, and it changed in Jaya. So Jenny, she was using the word Jenny in the example, and I'm like, oh my gosh, things like this constantly happen, okay? And even the examples were, I think they were even appropriate for what was happening. It was just too much. It was just like, but this is all the time. These things happen. And now the cow is talking to me, and in the way the mother was already talking, and that's why the milk. There was this spiritual thing that was happening in terms of nourishment, and just the generations that have come before, it might not ever come to have again. But to be in this spiritual place with the land, and to know that things are changing now on the planet, and the resources available to keep having certain foods as a foundation, especially as a daily thing, it's like that, for people to be shifting in an awareness now of what's available as another kind of level choice. In a way of sacrifice, but at the end of the day, for people who have kids, you automatically have to sacrifice some things in your life. It's such a no-brainer. But you don't go around muttering all day and night, God, I had to sacrifice everything. Or some do, like all day long and night, and it's like, do you know what I did for you? And then that's kind of a pattern that you need to work on to get out of your energy field and heal. But most parents don't do that. They gladly do it. Because they're like, okay, well, I sacrificed this, but oh my gosh, now we have this beautiful being in our life, and they're happy to sacrifice those things. And I am the same way. I can't imagine. I am so happy to have Ariel. Ariel's the amazing, That's always been the underlying thing. And for anyone to say different, or to make her feel that's never how it was intended to come out. It's like, I needed to be here for you, for these things that were happening, but it's all tied into it. And I still did everything that I needed to do. Right? So that was never made to be in a point of like, I sacrificed for you. It's never come in through that way. Ever. It was trying to explain these things were just happening. This is just what was happening. And so I wasn't putting all of my energy out in these things, because this was she was my priority. That's what I was trying to say. This is where my heart was. You were so important to me that these other things had to be sacrificed. It was so obvious that this is where my main focus needed to be. That's how it is meant. Not, oh my God, I had to sacrifice all my good life, all my happy good life things. No. And yeah, it was a karmic clearing, and yeah, it was crazy and challenging. And now all of the wisdom coming out of that space, and I couldn't be more grateful to really see all the patterns now of the medications and the kids being medicated more and more, and it was happening back then. So for me to not do that and to sacrifice anything and everything that had to be so she wouldn't be on those, it was important. It was a priority. And I would choose it a million times over again. So, and Ariel, I love you so much. And I know that you will make and not let anyone tell you that it's just a body, and don't worry, just go and you can just be a sex worker and lift your head high and be... None of this stuff, and I know you know that. She educated me on women's stuff through the years. In fact, she wanted me to get out of the car one time because I wasn't agreeing with her. So I know that she can stand in this place, and the way that she stands with me, it's like that is her. And she's just brilliant, and I love you so much, Ariel. Okay. So Jai Ma, Kalima Shiva Shambho, the divine adventure continues. These dark energies will not be pitting people against each other anymore at all whatsoever. And that's their game over. and they can transition and start developing these other products in amazing ways. There's a company in Canada called True Hope, and that helps people to get off of their medications that hurt their bodies and can further make them so toxic. And there's things that are there. There's already solutions. We just have to move forward. Okay. Jai Ma, Kali Ma, Shiva Shambho.